Hello and welcome to Beacon of Creation, a weekly podcast on game design through the lens of Magic the Gathering. I'm Juliet.
And I'm Andrew, game designer, former bike mechanic, former actual play performer. I wrote Girl by Moonlight and We Contain Solitudes, and I'm working on Utopia's Wake and collaborating with Luke Jordan on a game currently called Apocalypse World Dark Ages.
Apocalypse World Dark Ages and Utopia's Wake, both fun games, I would certainly say. And I think some folks in our audience will have played Girl by Moonlight. So that's a fun overlap there. Andrew, can you tell me about one of your favorite flavors in Magic or other storytelling?
Is it okay for me to say donkey?
Absolutely. I have also been thinking a lot about donkeys lately. I've been reading a book by Peter Mitchell called The Donkey in Human History, which is more elucidating than you might expect. There's a lot to say about how, donkeys have been useful and we have some archaeological record of it, but a lot of that history work is only being done right now, like for the first time, as opposed to having been done many times over time, like, for instance, the history of horses or camels or things like that.
So the donkey has been taken for granted in the context of academia and history and historicization.
And
tragedy that we will address today.
Exactly. Buckle in, folks. This is all academia, all academic. We're going to get into, do you know if you're riding a donkey, you basically need to ride it over the back legs, like over the hip joint, rather than much further forward like you would on a horse or something like that. There's a lot to...
There's a lot of nuance here.
Yeah. But specifically, one thing I'm going to mention and then discard entirely are the actual creature type donkey cards in Magic that I find, like, unequivocally, I would say, mediocre to bad jokes. Which are is it Unhinged, I think, is the cycle
of
cards with mid puns and enough distasteful things involved in those original donkeys. But instead, we do have a kind of more interesting donkey folk, which are the Noggles, first introduced to us in Eventide, and then briefly reemerging in Lorwyn Eclipsed earlier this year.
Yeah, I love these little weirdos. They're just mischievous little donkey-headed sort of goblin adjacent creatures, or I guess really like fairies, which is the whole thing with that block. But they're blue-red, they're all mischief and chaos, and it's just wonderful.
Yeah, and I think tying it into it's like a fairy goblin sort of thing. And it's funny that they aren't creature type fairy, but like honestly half the stuff on the weird stuff on Eventide's like, oh yeah, but is this fairy? Is it whatever? But it does tie into one of the water horses of Orkney and kind of North Island mythology, which turns out a lot of the Shadowmoor Lorwyn kind of side of things really pulls from... A lot of people gesture towards Celtic mythology, but like if you go even further north off of the larger island of Britain and everything, and there's a bunch of different water horses that have different relationships with water. The big bad one does show up as a card that I believe is also blue-red, the Nuclavy.
Yes,
which
indeed.
is not a horse, but rather in Eventide, but rather a many-eyed evil
it is
like mud skipper,
quote, beast, whatever that
beast.
Non-specified beast. It has a little chin beard with a light on it, like an anglerfish, but upside down. It has 2, 4, 6, maybe 8 or 7 eyes, and some very blurry in the background, big long kind of serpentine body, maybe some arms. It's got a lot going on.
Don't look this up if you don't want to be freaked out by things, but you can look up Nuckelavee in a non-Magic the Gathering context, and it's a scary, weird, half human, half horse thing, but in a more freakish way than most centaurs are. But moving away from the evil Nuckelavee, there is also the Nuggle, often spelled Nuggle, which is a different type of mythical water horse that hypothetically is lending its name to the Noggles of Eventide, our Noggle bandits, our bridge breakers, our ransackers, our robbers, the purported first folk to ever walk Shadowmoor. The original folk are this weird little type of donkey-headed prankster, for lack of a better word. It is interesting to think about, okay, we need blue-red hybrid to represent a thing in the way that like black-green trolls, white-black hags, blue-green selkies and kelpies, getting into more water horses there that are just beasts, who knows. White-red, Duergar and hobgoblins. Blue-red, let's introduce donkey folk. We got this. They can do the rambunctious thing. They can rambunctiousness can also be as blue as it is red.
I wonder if this came about through like a process of iteration where they started with something closer to the like Nuckelavee or whatever, these kinds of water horse creatures, and then somewhere along the way someone like drew a cute little donkey goblin guy, or like I would love to know what the story was of how they arrived at the Noggle.
Yeah.
But given how obscure it is, I doubt we ever will.
Right. If anything, it's just a delight that we were ever able to return to Lorwyn once this year.
Yeah.
And that we were able to both do that and get a few more Noggle cards, including Noggle the Mind, which I think is just a fantastic pun. Noggle the Mind, of course, is 1 in a blue for a flash aura. It just makes it lose all abilities, becomes a Noggle with base power and toughness 1/1. Pretty standard effect, but great pun, and great to pull on one of the most famous bits of fairy like pranksterdom, which is A Midsummer Night's Dream, a Shakespeare's famous 1596 play, I want to say.
Just read it last night to prep for this, but I did not catch the publication date.
Written sometime between 1594 and 1596. That's
my ebook claims it was published in 1600 by William Shakespeare, whatever that means.
That's
as if there were a formal publishing, industry analogous to the one we have today that would do such a thing. I don't know, but anyways.
And for the listener at home who may or may not be familiar with Midsummer Night's Dream, one of the things you might be familiar with is the fact that one of the characters, one of the rude mechanicals, Nick Bottom, has his head turned into a donkey's head, or more of him turned into a donkey in some productions, but mostly the head is the classical one.
It's the point of emphasis in the script, certainly.
Absolutely. And then Titania, the Queen of the Fairies, is made to fall in love with him for one night, for brief enough time. And we have the delight and fantasia of beautiful Queen of the Fairy, weird, terrible, loud donkey guy, and the incongruity of that pairing
because the man who is transformed is also a person of low status and of the wrong social character to be so elevated, and much hay is made of that.
So trying to think about designing a new Noggle card, like both potentially the victim of some pranksterdom, of some trickiness, but also the perpetrator of some trickiness and messing with things. What kind of effects like jump to mind? Are there like what kind of story jumps to mind, or what effects feel especially tricky to you?
Yeah, so like the existing Noggle cards, you have like a sort of looting effect that is shared with you and your opponent, right? Each player draws 2 cards
Mm-hmm.
and discards a card at random, which is a fun bit of mischief to like. I like the idea of like giving your opponent a riddle to solve, essentially, like a frustrating dilemma or game state that they have to resolve that isn't your problem anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like a good trickster move. So I like that kind of thing. They kind of, I mean, Noggle the Mind kind of preempted some of my thinking on this, or that would have been
Mm-hmm.
a dynamic that I would have chased as well. But that's my kind of initial thought.
Okay, I should save this idea for the third act of this podcast, but I want we this is a great aura for turning a creature into a Noggle. How can we turn an opponent into half donkey for like a turn?
Yeah. What are the qualities of a donkey? We have obviously beauty and nobility are kind of the first ones that come to my mind. A sort of
Subtlety.
long-suffering steadfastness. Um, these are the things that I associate with them, with this noble creature.
So loudness.
Yeah, the braying, right? The
Yeah.
stubbornness. I guess that's
Mhm.
mules, but people conflate mules and donkeys all the time. We could do the same.
And I think because the mule is the kind of ideal form of the donkey, this is a thing definitely pulling from the donkey in human history, which is
Mhm.
people always want mules over donkeys when they can get them.
But you need to have
And
donkeys to make mules, and so there's a
yeah, you need to have both donkeys and horses
yeah.
and also be able to make mules. Like there's multiple things involved in that. But I think because the ideal form of a donkey is a mule, like is a as a hybrid with something else, the idea of Noggle as half donkey, half person, like donkey-headed person, it's
Yeah, the
like, oh yeah,
hybridization.
the ideal form of a donkey already is a hybrid. So here a hybrid, just
Hybrid
of
of a
a
hybrid. Yeah.
yeah, a human instead of a horse. Huh.
I mean, you could hybridize someone's creatures in some fun way, right? Like taking 2 creatures and mashing them together to create some third thing. But to get to the player
Sure.
themselves, how would you hybridize someone in Magic the Gathering?
I mean, should we, like, turn all of their spells into, like, braying, into loudness, make them really stubborn, give them, like, a, do you know Epic? The
No, sorry.
the okay, it's an old Kamigawa mechanic that means when you cast the spell, you just cast it again each one of your turns forever, but you can't cast other spells.
Oh,
Uh,
so it repeats ad infinitum, but you can't do any other spells. That is
yeah.
very funny. Yeah, I like locking them into this like you only can cast braying, and it's this like
Mhm.
somewhat dysfunctional thing that they have to do every turn.
Yeah. They, in the most recent, Strixhaven set that just came out, they came up with a new kind of twist on Epic called Paradigm that is you can cost it each turn, and it doesn't interfere with the other things you're casting. So it's your, like,
Mhm.
dissertation is your new Paradigm thing.
Yeah, I think that you can repeat continuously, but aren't totally locked out of other stuff. Yeah, that's a bit of a gentler version.
The idea of somehow locking somebody into maybe just for, like, 3 turns or something, like a saga curse
That's really
of
fun to give it an arc and yeah, have it be a cursed player thing.
saga curse, enchant player, spells they cast become, I don't know, like a shock on the stack or something.
Yeah, I was thinking
The
like Brain could be like a 2 damage, instant kind of thing. And so it might be of benefit to them to be braying for a brief moment, or it might foil some more complicated combo or something that they want to do with cards that do stuff other than just damage on the board. Could be a
yeah.
funny bind. And then you might even like cast it on yourself and throw out a bunch of cheap spells as brays to then roll someone's board and win a game or something too. You could have it flex either way. Maybe I want to be a donkey sometimes.
So spells and change of player casts become red and blue spells, red and blue sorceries named Braying on the stack.
Yeah.
With this spell deals 2 damage to any target. This is this is very silly. Any I mean, this could just be like, hey, it's this for, and then you're stuck with it for 3 turns. Are there other
Yeah, what
chapters?
other effects might we bundle in here?
Uh, do people fall in love with you? Do you have to be like the target of spells that are
Okay, yeah.
that?
So first phase,
Uh-huh.
um, any spell that would target a player targets you, right? Like you just have to
Mhm.
be the target of everything. And then you're braying, and maybe we could have the braying feel like a response to that, right? It could be like enraged braying or panicked braying or something like that. So we create a bit of a narrative across those phases, right? Where
Mhm.
the braying is in response to you being singled out. You then lash out with the braying. And then I don't know what you would do for a third thing. I gotta give it some more thought.
Uh, so I'm thinking, what if we give the braying first, and then the second chapter is spells have to target you if able. So, like, hey, you're stuck with braying for
Oh, right. And then you
2
can
or
only
3
hit
turns.
yourself.
You can only target yourself, and other people's stuff can also only target you.
Yeah.
Player spells that can target players must target you if able, and then 3 discard 2 cards, draw 2 cards. Hey, you survived this.
Yeah.
Here's a little bit of recompense or whatever. Yeah.
So yeah, very disruptive to anyone who has some kind of combo based plan or, series of spells they want to cast.
What's a good what's a good name for this temporary form of Noggle? I mean, this literally could just be called Midsummer Night's Dream.
I mean, yeah, I was gonna say the
What's a good cost for Midsummer Night's Dream?
I mean, is this like a 2 colorless and then 2 hybrid blue red or something? Is that too
Right?
cheap, too expensive?
That seems I mean, ultimately what you're kind of doing is like pseudo casting silence for a few turns. This doesn't actually disrupt something like, I don't think that we're giving this flash and you can like turn somebody's spell into
Yeah, it's
into
not
braying.
a response. They can
And
play around it.
if my opponent has already like got a bunch of prowess creatures on the battlefield or is like in general, already attacking me and now I've just turned all of their spells into shocks for a turn, like, they're
Yeah, they
still able
can
to
protect
interrupt with the board.
themselves, at least for that first
Yeah,
turn.
fantastic. This is very fun already. So we've turned an opponent into uh, a Noggle in a sense. We actually didn't mention them in any form here. What if instead we celebrate with a fun Noggle that you would actually want to cast rather than have inflicted on you?
These Noggles deserve more than they've gotten.
Mm-hmm. So we were looking at some of the donkeys named in I believe, 2nd century. Is it an Etruscan bath? I want to say at one of the Roman ports. Yeah, in Ostia.
Yeah.
There's names of of several mules from these mosaics named Bashful, Gouty, thirsty fish, and mollycoddle. Any of
And
those
I
you want
love them
to?
all. I love them all so much.
Which
I mean,
which of
mollycoddle
those?
sounds
Mhm.
like a verb, like a thing you would do to someone.
Sure,
You know, like
sure.
I could see that being deployed as like a sorcery or something. It's a funny name for one.
What's a bashful noggle like?
Bashful Noggle, though, this is I think a great place to go. Does the
Hmm.
Bashful Noggle enrapture a creature with its beauty? And do we get like a Titania and the donkey kind of moment with this creature?
Oh, what
Right?
if
They
there's
bat they
like,
bat their big eyes at you with their beautiful eyelashes.
can this kind of like provoke like when this as long as this creature is untapped at the beginning, I should just make this a tap trigger. Like I want to do a target creature must attack this turn if able,
Right.
sort of
Yeah.
sort of thing. There's like a bashful, like instead of like I'm attacking, you have to block me. It's like, oh, I'm bashful. Don't
You have
don't
to
come
come
over
get me.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a keyword for that? Is that like incite, or is incite like everything has to attack?
Um,
Trying to remember
there's the
something
one
for
from
this.
Commander that the audience is gonna howl at me for not knowing. Goad. There's
Oh, there
Goad,
we go. Yeah.
which specifically asks for it to attack someone other than you if able.
Right.
But that's a like this creature's untapped. I don't know. I'm down to just use goad or must attack you if able. Is
I think must attack you with
must
able
attack.
is perfectly clear, and yeah, we don't need to get dirty commander words into this PG-13 podcast.
Okay, so we've got this Noggle who can bring on the attackers. Can say, "Hey, utility creature, come attack me," or tap for your effect first main phase instead of second. Haha. What's another fun like a combat keyword or a power toughness or a cost to help us hone in on this bashful Noggle?
Is it like a creature that is good at blocking? Like, does it have high toughness, or does it not take damage from the creature that it has targeted with that effect, or something? Right. So it's like it can
Mm,
just absorb it because really they come over and couldn't possibly hurt the beautiful bashful Noggle.
yeah.
And then yeah, as long as it's untapped, so then if it's attacking, that is no longer of benefit. It only benefits you when it's defending, which is a
Mm,
great call. Yeah. I'm not so deep or fluent within
mhm.
MPG design that I feel like I can come up necessarily with the most, you know, super interesting or twisty things. I might just be doing very straightforward ones here, but this is where my
Yeah.
mind goes.
I like the idea because we have a damage prevention ability
Yeah. I like this
of
too.
giving low toughness instead
Yeah,
of
and
high
that
toughness.
that is in keeping with Noggles of the past as well. They tend to be like 2 1s and 4 3s and stuff like that. They're very
Yeah.
imbalanced in a lot of the cards, which is fun.
So 2-1 for one red and a blue. That's an early sort of provoking thing, but ultimately, a wall of fog or whatever is is only
Yeah, it's only going to do
an
so much.
infinite blocker. And it can eat a token on the other side of the board, but like we just make this a higher rarity card. You know what I mean? Or at a common, it gets bumped up to 3 mana. I'm
Yeah,
gonna.
and this is very easy to remove in all kinds of ways. So
Do you have a what's a good class for a bashful Noggle?
yeah, like a Noggle blank, right?
Yeah. Noggle peasant, Noggle noble. Is this a rogue novel rogue Noggle despite seeming
Is there
uh
anything for like a maiden, a beauty, like something in
yeah.
that kind of realm?
They're almost always princesses or like knights or something
Yeah, like that's
else.
kind of the frame that it tends to be in, but like
So
a
maybe yeah.
I mean, rogue I think is a safe pick
for
always
anything.
for any Noggle. They're all rogues. Um Could be a cowboy also. I'm just going to put that out there. Or were all the cowboys rogues? I can't remember. I don't think I played that set.
I think they were. It was outlaws was
Outlaws
the
was the
big
thing. That's
thing.
right.
Yeah, and so I think the cowboys were a variety of things, including outlaws were assassins, mercenaries, pirates, rogues, and warlocks.
Right.
And then the other folks were like, nobles and soldiers and wizards and
because that was
stuff
one
like
other
that.
thought that occurred to me before I had seen the notes for the show. I was like, what if there was a Noggle with a cowboy hat? And wouldn't that
What if
be
there's that?
hilarious?
Okay,
So
let's
let's just put that in our pocket. It could be for this
okay.
card. It could be for another.
Thirsty fish.
Thirsty fish.
Dusty Noggle.
See,
It's like,
Thirsty
okay, his
Fish is
name
at the
is
bar.
Thirsty Fish.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
his status is Dusty Noggle.
Yeah, and this is like the local town drunk who is a Noggle.
With a cowboy hat. Is this a outlaw or is this a good guy?
It'd be funny for this to be a sheriff. But the kind of useless one, the one that's a joke and needs to be replaced by, the good heroic sheriff.
Mm-hmm. Mercenary does seem like it would make sense for Noggle interested in shiny. They say they don't know what money is. They don't have a concept of money. Yeah, Noggles have no concept of money, but they do have a high affinity for shiny, says the card Noggle Robber.
Which I think would be very appropriate here. Yeah, a mercenary.
So, legendary creature Noggle Mercenary. So, tell me about the abilities of this cool donkey folk with a cowboy hat named Thirsty Fish.
Thirsty Fish. Gosh. I mean, what kind of stuff was going on in that set? Was it a very...
heists, villainy, train heists. There's a big safe made by the precursor civilization.
That everyone's trying to break into.
Yeah, wanted posters and shooting the sheriff and mounts. Mounts were a big thing. People riding snake-headed broncos and
well, I don't know
like
if
that.
Thirsty Fish is much of a rider, but I could see them putting out wanted posters for people or marking other creatures in some way. That could be fun.
Yeah,
if they're kind of on the side of the law.
We also got plot as a thing and committing a crime, which is whenever you cast a spell or activate an ability that targets an opponent or their stuff, as I love this description, or their spells, permanents, or graveyard, you are committing a crime.
Right, so some kind of trigger, like when your opponent commits a crime, maybe that this guy steps up.
Okay. Your opponent commits a crime.
Or maybe when you commit your crime, this is like a corrupt sheriff who takes a cut or gets you some kind of side benefit.
Sure. I mean, do we want to lean sheriff or mercenary?
Oh, because it's like sheriff its own thing too?
No, but we could lean that way on the flavor.
Yes, I see. Yeah. I mean, mercenary seems more fun. Let's not, ACAB applies to Noggles too, so let's not let them fall on the wrong side of things. So yeah, I like this idea of getting in on other people's crimes. Maybe it's like when anyone commits a crime, you get a cut, right? You get like a treasure token or something like that. So
I like it.
Yours and your opponents.
I like it. Thirsty for a little drink off of everybody else's bottle, right?
Yeah.
Whenever anyone commits a crime from their own perspective, whenever they're targeting one of their opponents, not one of your opponents.
Yeah. That is a funny byproduct of how that rule is written. Yeah, is that all crimes are what's the word I'm looking for? There's a viewpoint epistemology around crimes.
Sure.
Is that right?
We do have, what is it, from Edge of Eternities? Yeah, Patrolling Peacemaker, which is a robot cop that says it enters with +1/+1 counters. And then whenever an opponent commits a crime, proliferate. And so they commit a crime if they target an opponent, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Which I think, I mean, this is in the commander set, so I don't know if it, but I assume you count as an opponent to them. I'm gonna just assume that exists. So what's the benefit that Thirsty Fish gets for themselves or for us whenever anyone commits a crime?
Yeah, because you could do the model like that card you just described, where like it gets bigger or triggers some effect on the card. It could make tokens for us. Like Thirsty Fish could get a posse together and could make like little 1/1 Noggle minions for you. Or a obvious thought was like you get like a treasure token or something, right, to symbolize like getting a cut, or maybe a food token that is whiskey themed. You get a little, if we want to go into that much beloved food archetype.
Okay. Whenever anyone commits a crime, they choose one for you to do.
This is a fun twist, yeah.
Create a treasure, create a food, populate. Populate meaning create a copy of a creature token.
That's already in play.
And so you really want to make sure you have at least one token, one creature token out, or your opponents go populate, and then Thirsty Fish is like, well, I reckon I lost that gamble. Yeah.
Costs on it and various other old-timey swears.
What do you think size-wise or cost-wise? And we can fit the other to match the other.
I mean, this seems like a pretty strong effect to always be able to skim off of other people's plays.
Mm-hmm. And like, when I'm committing a crime, I can pick one of these. So I get to make the choices for myself. Or if I'm in a multiplayer situation, I might say, hey, can you, when you target them with it, or even me with a discard spell, can you make me create a treasure? Because I really want to be able to cast this. Of course, food means, can this even be blue-red? Maybe this should just be...
Yeah, I think that's out of color archetype, so that should be something else, maybe. I mean, populate also is like a white-green mostly thing, right?
Yeah,
so,
but blue and red
we can't
make copies of stuff. Yeah, they're tokens. Yeah. So maybe, I don't know, surveil 1.
Yep.
Create a treasure, populate, surveil 1. Your Thirsty Fish is listening in on what the next big score is going to be.
Exactly.
Let's see here. Do we have... I'm trying to remember, is it there's a Magda that is, I think, pretty strong, but maybe because of her multiple abilities together, which is whenever you commit a crime, create a tapped treasure, triggers only once each turn, so that way you can't just keep redoing it, and then you can sacrifice 3 treasures to get a 4/4 scorpion dragon with flying and haste, which is pretty good. But that does mean that, like, 2 mana, you can potentially get more treasures, but your opponents are involved in the things. So I think any cost is probably fair, as long as it's not literally 1 mana here.
Yeah, is this like a 4 mana 3/3 kind of territory?
3/3? Sure.
So it's not like super early, or a 3 mana 2/2 or something.
Yeah, I was thinking, since we made a 4 mana Saga and a 2 mana Bashful Noggle, maybe a 3 mana Legend is the in between. And should this be a gold Noggle, or should we stick with the blue-red hybrids still?
I mean, it's really funny to just make the blue-red hybrid thing, crawling out of its grave in Lorwyn and insisting upon itself in other sets.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be where my inclination would lie.
Okay, so we designed 3 very fun cards here. I want to offer, if you want to either design a mollycoddle card, design a card starting from a tricky puzzle to solve, or design a card starting from some poetry of Midsummer Night's Dream. Falls in your court to follow what sounds fun to you.
I would love to talk about poetry a little bit and do the poetry angle for sure.
Yeah. So, Andrew, when I've played some of your games, in playtests and things like that, they often have poetry in them as part of the like world building writing and some of the way to translate elements of the world quickly so that you can get to the mechanical play
Mhm.
fairly efficiently. So I think of you as someone who has a strong positive relationship with poetry.
Well, that feels really lovely to hear someone reflect that back at me, is what I'll say at first. But yeah, this was all that practice was born of an effort to try to like find ways to do stuff that often in tabletop role playing games comes through in like big, long blocks of prose that are very fixed and don't leave a lot of room for interpretation or don't invite a lot of engagement and extrapolation by players, which was something I was trying to get more of. And so I stumbled into poetry as being a really effective way of doing that kind of thing. And I would love to nod at this point to my friend Brandon O'Brien, who helped me out with a lot of this. So a lot of these ideas or things I would say belong to them more than me. But that like a reader engaging with poetry is really nicely analogous with a player engaging with and interpreting like rules texts and activating mechanics in a game where they have to parse it very closely. They're reading it in this different kind of mindset where they are paying a different kind of attention and needing to interpret and make judgments and assessments of it in a way that they don't necessarily with prose, where often prose can just be kind of read and absorbed and taken as fact, right? Whereas poetry is inherently ambiguous and demands interpretation. And so I think that parallel is really, really powerful and cool.
And some of our listeners may have heard me say before, but of course, you can say it all with me. This is one reason we say the god of poets is not Apollo. And that poetry is not just about Apollonic beauty in a particular way, but rather poetry is about taking that journey together. It's about like you actually walking the steps from the words to the meaning that you're putting together about kind of the poetry and like the figurative, the image, sometimes even the theatricality. And because it's you walking that journey, the god of poets is Hermes, the god of the journey.
Which, of course, brings to mind fair Hermia. And oh, when she's angry, she is keen and shrewd. She was a vixen when she went to school, and though she be but little, she is fierce, which is from a really
Yeah.
funny part of the play where they are just negging her about her height relentlessly, and she's getting very
Uh-huh.
mad at them. Um,
Thou painted maypole. Yeah. Yeah. Fun Juliet trivia fact. My first theatrical role was as Puck in A Midsummer Night's Dream.
well, that is lovely and fits.
I was 3'6" at the time. I'm a little bit bigger than that now. But I was quite small, and one of the boys in my grade was 5'6" at the time, and he played Oberon. And so we had a
Big guy,
delightful
little
gap
guy dynamic.
of
Yeah.
yeah, full 24-inch gap that made it. And so I feel like in some ways my whole life was set on some particular sets of course from
Mm.
that. But so though she be but little, she is fierce. So how can we make the fiercest little Noggle in in a Magic the Gathering card?
I mean, it's when they're angry that they are. Yeah. So is this like something that's a 1/1 until it's attacking and then it grows really big, or until it's blocking and it grows really big? Is it?
I mean, I'm thinking more about okay. There's the heroic ability from Theros where it's like, hey, when I'm targeted by something,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'll grow a little bigger or create a token or something. And
Yeah,
I'm
trigger
like,
some
okay,
effect.
a
Heroic Noggle looks
1/1.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, 1/1 that it's like, hey, target me and I'll grow by +4/+4. Or maybe I'll just become a flat like 6/6 or something. So you can't just like target me,
Right. You
target me,
can't target
target
it
me,
with,
target
yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really fun. I like that a lot.
She but little, she is fierce. And we could even tie in, oh, when she's angry, she is keen and shrewd. She was a vixen when she went to school. Like maybe this creature also like draws a card when it damages a player or something like that. And so there's
Yeah, so
like
there's a little
a
more going on.
yeah, reason to want to try to take out the 1/1.
Or
Or
also
try to
like, they attack you with the 1/1 and you're like, do I just like let it through and not try to interact with it so it just stays a
mhm.
1/1? I take the damage, they get a card. Yeah, there's a bit of putting your opponent in a bind, which was that other theme we were talking about earlier too, which I quite like.
And do I block it? But then they're just gonna target it with their own thing, and
Yeah,
then
yeah, exactly
yeah.
right. Like bluff them with the combat trick, all that kind of stuff.
How do you feel about 1/1 becoming a 5/5 versus 1/1 becoming a 6/6?
Well, since we're talking about numbers, is there any mythopoetic significance to a particular number, or is this really just pure mechanics?
I think this is mostly pure mechanics. I don't have a I'm
There's
like,
no magic
you
number.
can look at the number 6 and see, like, a donkey's, like, head in it, but
Well,
because, like,
that's all the reasoning I need. Sold. It's the
the
six
big long
six.
ears, you know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
"Oh,
Yep.
I know. I know. Shouldn't be a 6/6. It should be a 6/7."
Mm, I've heard about this. I've heard about this.
Great. What's a name for our Hermia little Noggle card?
Yeah, is this like a brash Noggle? Is it a, do we qualify it like that, or do we give them some kind of job type
The
of
idea of
name? Right, a Noggle blank.
bashful Noggle and brashful Noggle is
Bashful emphasis on bash, like it's smashing you. Yeah.
I think it was was it eh, Odyssey? One of those sets had, the card Quick Sliver and also another card Click Slither, like all
Oh,
one
yeah.
word.
Just deliberately, yeah.
Yeah, my bashful Noggle and my brashful Noggle. I've gotta
Yeah, or like smashful Noggle.
this could also be a legend named Molly Space Coddle, but,
Oh, yeah. That's, yeah.
Vixen Noggle Vixen,
Noggle Vixen.
Keen Size, Meek Noggle,
I like
let's
meek
see,
Noggle. Unassuming Noggle is kind of a fun energy to then, yeah.
Unassuming Ransacker, Unassuming what's like a young lover, Unassuming Inamorata.
Yeah, I mean, as everyone I think would immediately recognize it, the average MTG player, of course, being fluent in
Yeah,
at least 3 languages.
and definitely when you see a card named Unassuming Inamorata, you're like, "That's a
That's a
Noggle rogue
Noggle,
that deals
obviously.
damage to players and draws a card, and when it's targeted, it grows big." I think Ransacker is probably that ties into,
Yeah,
in the way that I think you can call a lot of things Rabble Master, and people are like, "That's a goblin." We had Noggle Ransacker in the original Lorwyn, and then Reckless Ransacking as a Noggle-themed card
yeah.
in Lorwyn Eclipse. So that
Ransacking belongs to the Noggles.
so what size cost should this be? It's a 1/1 that can draw a card when it
And
damages.
it can turn into a
Hmm.
6/6, which is a, a large idiot, certainly. Could be chumped, but scary with the heroic thing, so it needs another card to really shine. So is this like I'm really out of touch. Is this like a 3-mana card or a 2-mana card?
It's probably a 3-mana card because blue can get 3-mana 6/6s these days because, as we always say, like you mentioned earlier when you said a cab, of course the thing you meant is all cards are blue.
Yep, naturally. I wouldn't make any other kind of expression of anti-authoritarian sentiment. I would definitely only talk about. I stick to the topic at hand.
What if this was our gold one though? What if this is like 1 blue red?
Right, so like 1 colorless, 1 explicitly blue, 1 explicitly red mana for a total of 3, right? Yeah.
Or maybe even just blue red without the extra 1. Yeah, that seems fun. That way we've got 1 hybrid 2-drop and 1 gold 2-drop, and then a hybrid 3 and a hybrid 4.
Yeah, because the big power toughness thing is totally conditional, and there are lots of ways around that, right? So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Lovely.
So unassuming ransacker, that's blue and a red for a creature Noggle Rogue with when this creature deals damage to a player, draw a card. And when this creature is the target of a spell, it gains base power and toughness 6/6 until end of turn. So we've got some exciting cards here. In addition to these cards we've designed, I would love to see and hear your Noggle and Donkey cards in the Discord server. But also, when you're hearing this, you've got just a few days left for our May Design Challenge, which is Swamps and Marshes Appreciation Month. Design a land or non-creature artifact that can produce black mana. And then we have optional bonus points. A cow and a bean. Give it an adventure, omen, or prepared spell, like the new Secrets of Strixhaven prepared spells. And the other optional bonus point is it takes 2, which is that you'd be happy to have this card in multiples. If you want to hear your card reviewed on the podcast, those submissions are going to be due May 29th. So that's our podcast for this week. You can join our Discord with a link in the show notes. Thanks for coming on, Andrew.
It's been an absolute delight and my pleasure to be here.
Anything else you'd like to tell people about?
Yeah, so I would love for listeners to check out my game, We Contain Solitudes, which you can find on itch.io. It's a 2-player RPG about troubled souls trapped in a time loop that plays out in prose and soliloquies. It is currently part of a bundle fundraising for relief from Typhoon Sinlaku, which is a big storm that is causing a lot of mischief in the areas that it is hitting. And so some kindly folks are pooling their resources to help out. And that ends within 4 days, so like at the beginning of June, but hopefully there's still time maybe for people to grab that up. And there's a bunch of other games in there. It's a very good deal on top of everything else. But my game, We Contain Solitudes, which is in that, I think it's a very interesting and innovative little game that offers deep character exploration and kind of introspective and melancholy atmosphere. I'm very proud of it. Go find a friend you want to die repeatedly with and have yourself a lovely little time with that game. You can also try out Girl by Moonlight, my game of tragic magical girl stories, and keep an eye out for Utopia's Wake and Dark Ages, which will hopefully be entering playtest in the coming months, if all goes to plan. And for all of that, people can follow me on Blue Sky at andrewgillis.blueskysocial.
Yeah, we'll definitely put a link to that Itch.io bundle. There's quite a few really good-looking games and some interesting stuff, and a few games from Aaron Lim, who's, I would say, a repeated guest here on the show. You can catch his game Ithaca in the Cards on there, which is a one that I strongly recommend as well. And you can find me on the Discord and at Folly Persist on Blue Sky. Thanks for listening, and always remember
that if we shadows have offended, think but this, and all is mended, that you have but slumbered here while these visions did appear.
And this week, an idle theme, no more yielding than a dream.